You're now listening to From the Jump.
Today's episode is going to cover the loss of Takeoff to the hip-hop world out of the group Migos, and later we'll reveal the surprising impact that Migos has had on hip-hop in general. Make sure you subscribe and leave a comment below saying, I subscribed, and we'll try our best to reply to your comment. Welcome to From the Jump, your source for all things hip-hop. I'm Syllable. This is my co-host,
Mr. White.
No one expected it to happen. It happened just a few days ago outside of a bowling alley. You know, if you want to give us a rundown of what was going on that led to Takeoff losing his life.
It seemed to be a private party that the Migos was hosting in Houston. They were out there promoting the album that they just released, Clearly. And it seemed like an altercation happened because an argument led to gunfire. As a result, gunshots hit Takeoff.
You know, they were saying there might have been more than one shooter. There might have been someone behind him taking him hostage.
It was all types of crazy conspiracies. Like when it first dropped, they said that he got hit by a stray bullet by one of the people that was on their team. Then they say he got hit by the crossfire because there was definitely multiple guns and multiple guns. I think DJ Academics broke a video that seemed to have some footage from behind where Takeoff was, and it shows Quavo walking away from this angle, right? So you see the back of Quavo. What you also see is basically Takeoff in that video with a guy in a yellow hoodie behind him who appears to have a gun, and then he takes off inside. So he runs after the gunshots start happening. So it's possible that that young guy was the shooter. This is alleged. That kid is now dead.
Man, it's crazy.
It's sad all around for stuff like this to happen, especially when you're talking about artists who at this point they're made. They had made it.
Yeah. Well, it's fucked up, man, because you think about it, and who have you lost? Extension, we've lost Nipsey Hussle fairly recently, Young Dolph, King Von,
PNB Rock, although not as big as some of those other artists, but definitely had a huge run. You know, the way that a lot of these people are dying seems very unnecessary, right?
It seems unnecessary.
The rap music industry is like an endangered species right
now. And why is that? Why do rappers keep getting shot? Is it always because hip-hop's about violent crime? No, not necessarily. But you look at the trend and where we're at right now, and all these rappers posting where they're going on Instagram, right? What was that with Kodak Black posting all this illegal stuff he had on Instagram, getting taken down by the cops like the same day? I think social media might play a major role in why these rappers are dying.
But isn't this just a mirror of our American society? We clearly have a gun violence problem. There's been an increase in violent gun deaths
shootings
for a long time. So why are we surprised that it's happening to rappers? When I grew up, I always knew something was bound to go down at the dice game because somebody might have got butt hurt or somebody from the outside might come and rob the game, right?
That's also true.
And there's always been thing when it comes to gambling in the hood that it's a risk.
It's crazy that Messi was just released hours before Takeoff gets killed. He just said in a Revolt interview that he didn't want to have to wait till after he had passed to get his flowers. And that was just 2 or 3 days before he gets killed. It seems eerily prophetic right now. He comes from the group, the Migos. Migos got started in North Atlanta. They're all relatives, where Quavo's his uncle for Takeoff.
Offset is the cousin.
So Quavo's the leader of the group. Offset married Cardi B, right? Takeoff's the quiet one.
Yeah,
right?
he's their little bro.
The little brother, right?
Yeah, but he always had a presence though. As an artist, he defined a lot of that triplet flow style. And if you look at how it changed the game, right? Yeah. It was because all three of them rapped kind of the same, right? They kind of had a similar approach. They all adopted that triplet flow and were like, this is how we're going to rap.
They really changed the game for hip-hop for the past 10 years.
Definitely.
Now, when you hear triplet flow, it is automatically associated with what is new, what is popular, and what is hit.
And it became the big distinction.
As well as the auto-tune.
It became the big distinction between when people start talk about trap music, I don't think they're oftentimes talking about T.I. or Young Jeezy or Gucci Mane, who were kind of the early trap acts. When you talk about Baby 3-6, they didn't even have that term out, right? Yeah, people still talking about crunk music from Atlanta with Lil Jon. I feel like the Migos were the first ones to establish what the style was for a trap beat, and that was the triplet flow. And after that, if you ever hear a trap beat, you're pretty much gonna hear somebody with a triplet flow on it.
Yeah, you got that stretched out snare with a lot of spaces. You got them driving synths. You got that 808 kind of beat feel, and then
you got the hi-hats and a triplet pattern,
right? And now it's a magic combination. But really, you know, if you want to go triplet flow, we got to go back to 3-6 Mafia.
Yeah, right? Lord Infamous. He was kind of the first one to, I would say, rap with a triplet flow that wasn't fast, because we could also talk about Bone Thugs, but 3-6 is a really old group. Sometimes people don't realize how old they were. They came out in like the early to mid 90s. So it's like, if you look at timeline wise, Bone Thugs and 3-6 aren't really that far away from each other. Like, you would think like, oh, you hear Bone Thugs, you're like, oh, that's really old rap. Like, nah, 3-6 and Bone Thugs are almost parallel in time
that
frames.
Mystic style song.
And it was a Midwest style, because everybody in the Midwest pretty much rap fast, but when it mixed with that Southern stuff, it was interesting. And as quirky as it may sound, he pretty much is the father, I would consider, of the modern triplet style. Like, when you hear Migos and you hear Lord Infamous, it almost sounds like
well, it's interesting that this is, again, one more style from the 90s, the greatest decade in hip-hop, right, that is now being repopularized. Just like Drake is redoing 90s R&B songs for a lot of his hits, now we got the triplet flow coming back. We're going to go all the way back to Notorious Thugs by Notorious B.I.G., or even Gangsta Forever by Tommy Wright. They had the triplet flow. And so now we see the Migos coming through, and they really popularized that. Takeoff is a different style of rapping than Quavo, but they all have that triplet flow.
All have the triplet flow. And I think that was them kind of stepping out of what the range was at that time, because you had pretty much an explosion of trap music, but it was mostly slow. Like, if you think about like Jeezy or Gucci Mane, like, I mean, T.I. kind of rap fast on his first project, I'm Serious, but then he slowed down. And I felt like he wasn't, because he probably wasn't getting the traction that he wanted. But none of them used triplet flows. And then Migos come out with this rapid fire triplet flow. Versace. It was so catchy.
Yeah.
It was so catchy on that Versace track.
Everybody started doing that up.
Drake picked it up. He got on there. And then you
Kendrick Lamar picked it up. Chance the Rapper is doing that shit off of almost a completely drumless track.
Yeah.
But he's evoking the triplet flow.
And he's becoming the drums.
Yeah, is using his voice as an instrument. You know, that's really the true legacy that Takeoff has left with hip hop, and with the Migos will definitely be looked back as one of the greatest hip hop groups that really reshaped, even in the modern era, a new style of rapping that became very popular. What do you guys think about Migos, and what's your favorite track that you have with Takeoff? Please comment below, like and subscribe, and tune in for another episode of From the Jump.
Peace.